The public sphere is a term that was coined by Jürgen Habermas in 1962. Habermas defined the public sphere as a space where private people come together in the public. Basically, the public sphere is a social area where individuals can come together to freely discuss and identify societal problems, and through that discussion, influence political action. With the rise of social media, there have been quite a few debates to determine whether or not different platforms may be considered a public sphere. There have been extensive research on platforms like Twitter and Facebook, but one platform that is not typically looked at as much by scholars is Snapchat. So, with that, is Snapchat a public sphere? Part of the reason why Snapchat may not even be typically considered as a public sphere is because of its relatively private nature, especially in comparison to other social media platforms. Usually, to receive or send Snapchats to a person, you need to be friends with them. Additionally, because of Snapchat's notion of nothing being permanent, it typically would not be used as a way to advocate important messages that you would want people to retain. However, Snapchat might have more public power than some people might think it does. Consider, for example, the case of the Snapchat love story at UW-Madison. When Mystery Girl posted on this campus story, nearly professing her love for the boy in the Vikings jersey, Snapchat went wild. Snapchat users that had no relation with either of the two were able to participate throughout the entire event, following along as the man labeled Vikings fan set out to go find Mystery Girl. By the end of the night, the two were able to meet each other and the story went viral all across the nation. Theorists Malcolm Gladwell and Evgeny Morozov have some criticisms as far as social media when it comes to being considered a public sphere, in that Facebook friends are oftentimes people you barely know, and you have weaker relationships with them and therefore are less likely to really care about what they're saying. Gladwell and Morozov make the argument that people will only really listen or take a risk for someone they have strong relational ties with. For this reason, if an activist were to try to start something on social media, they may get more reach through Facebook or Twitter, but would probably have less of an impact on each individual person. That being said, because Snapchat completely restricts who you're friends with to the people you manually add by username, phone number, or snap code, the people you have relationships with on Snapchat are generally people you have relationships with in real life. Therefore, using Gladwell and Morozov's theory, an activist may be more likely to make an impact with their followers on Snapchat, since they're generally people you care more about. All this considered, Snapchat is still missing one of the most important elements of what makes a public sphere: valid political discussion. Rather, because of Snapchat's nature of disappearing content, it is more commonly used as a way to show your daily activities or your friends just goofing off. The most political it might actually get is just putting filters on the Trump versus Hillary debate. Even if it were more commonly used for political discussion, Snapchat restricts who can view what, which is a violation of another important element of what makes a public sphere. All citizens can have access. Sure, one could go off the theory of never being more than 6 degrees away from anyone else, and if everyone were to pass along an idea to all of their followers, and their followers' followers, and so forth, they maybe could get their point heard. But at the end of the day, there is still an extremely high barrier to any real social activist movement being started on Snapchat, especially compared to some other platforms like Twitter. In conclusion, although there are a few valid arguments that can be made in favor of Snapchat being a public sphere, the overwhelming evidence of lack of political content and public access proves it is anything but.